I'm Mike Desjardins, and I'd like to welcome you to another podcast episode of Conversations with Leaders. I have a good friend of mine, Curtis Christopherson, here today from Innovative Fitness to share his story of leadership through a tumultuous time from the beginning of COVID until today. And the decisions he had to make, the pressure he was under, what happened to his business in the fitness industry, which I think is one of the hardest hit industries as a result of COVID. So welcome, Curtis.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I'd love to start from a place of what was the day? Like there was a day, and I know it was the beginning of spring break for all of us, but tell us about the first day when COVID hit and you know the world was not going to be the same at Innovative Fitness anymore.
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps actually thinking about what we all have been through, and it takes me back to March 11th. Actually, was a big day for us at Innovative Fitness. So March 11th, we were paying attention to what was happening in Italy, what was happening in Spain. We knew it was hitting in the East Coast of North America, such as New York. And on March 11th, we got together as a team to send out letters to our landlords and our financing partners, our banks, which is Wednesday. So this was Wednesday, March 11th in the morning. And this is prior to Trump landing the planes, prior to the NHL, prior to the NBA, prior to any of these things. And I remember scripting these letters going, are we actually doing this? Like, we're going to be asking for a level of support and relief during this time. And that was a pivotal day for us at Innovative Fitness, knowing that we have 12 locations, just the background, we have 12 locations, brick and mortar locations in the personal training space, all across Canada. And when we sent out that letter asking for that relief, the response was actually almost laughable now, because pretty much everything from the banks to landlords are like, what are you talking about? Like, we don't know what you're talking about. And
so you heard the canary in the coal mine on March 11th, and nobody else is hearing anything.
Correct. And so we got some unique responses from our landlords, from the banks. And then sure enough, that night, I remember Wednesday, March 11th, that night, so that's when Trump grounded the planes in the US. That is when the NBA, breakout happened, and they stopped the NBA. And then the next 2 days, Thursday and Friday, everything else is history. Everybody remembers it. So Disneyland and the other sports, and that was happening, and it just was a domino effect on that Thursday and Friday. So I think Wednesday was one of the bigger days. It was an aha moment. And then we were going into that weekend, which was the 14th and the 15th, we were prepping so that we would actually plan one more week of business and have 1 week of essentially planning and executing a strategy of shutting down. And then I remember having a call with our franchise and managers, our franchise owners and partners, and our managers on the Saturday. And then sure enough, Sunday morning, I woke up to a call, which was the 15th, and one of our locations, there was, not in our location, but there was 5 guys that had come back from a ski trip in Europe, and actually 5 out of the 8 had tested positive for COVID. And I just said to myself, this is way too close to home. And so on that Sunday night, on the 15th, we made some tough choices. So yeah, that was some of the history on it. And I'll pause there because I'm sure you'll question.
Well, and fascinatingly enough, that Sunday was the same Sunday that Vail, you talk about ski resorts and them coming back from a ski trip. Well, that Sunday was the same day that Vail shut down all of its resorts across North America as well. Yeah. I remember Friday getting a call from several of our clients saying to us, what do you have to help us support leaders that need to work remotely? And could you deliver it to us on Monday? Because they saw the same thing you on Thursday and Friday of the week that you saw things on the Wednesday, and they said, we're pretty sure we're going to have to shut down everything and send everyone home. Now, a lot of those businesses had, they had the contingency to be able to stay open in some way. So if they're in the restaurant industry, they could still do takeout, they could still do delivery. If they're in the financial space, they just had to get their VPN set up, but that wasn't a luxury that you had.
No, I mean, we're in the personal service business. And I would say that looking back, I mean, our the fitness business was quite archaic, especially personal training. There was no means of doing it virtually, doing it, in any other capacity other than in person. And so when you're dependent and reliant on people and that human interaction, it's really, you're staring down that gun barrel pretty quick when a pandemic is ready to hit hard at home. So on the Sunday, on the 15th, I had to get on the call. We called a company-wide meeting. We have over 240 full-time trainers. We have 8 franchise partners. We have a management team, an executive team. And I remember hosting on Sunday night at, I think it was like 5 or 6 o'clock at night, 230 or 40 people showed up out of the 260. And I had to let them know that we were shutting our doors Monday morning, like essentially less than 24 hours away, less than 12 hours away. We were not showing up to work, and that they would be assured during that time, they were assured that they had a job, they had stability, they had our support, and we were going to do anything in our power to fight this and make it through, what we didn't know was really truly coming. And so, there was some pushback, especially the franchise partners. They have, not only do they have debt, they have responsibilities, they have their livelihood, they have their families to take care of, and I think people were naive to think of how impactful this was going to be. And so that was tough. That was really challenging. As a grown man, I don't cry a ton. And what was unique is that I broke down, in front of 250 of my staff and franchise partners and management team, unexpectedly. And we knew at that point that this was going to be a tough road ahead for a period of time. So that happened Sunday night. Mm-hmm. And on Monday morning, we got to work. So, I think the big question was, what do we do? And, for us as a company, we had everybody had 2 choices, but our 2 choices were, do we shut off the lights, lock the doors, walk away, and hope this blows through relatively quickly?
And how long did you think quickly was? So at that stage, when you're thinking, do we shut the doors, or do we try to figure out some way to move through this? How long did you think this was going to last?
Yeah, it was going to be, we evaluated, our scenario was this. Best case was 6 weeks, worst case was 6 months. So if we were going to be impacted for 6 weeks, what do we have to do to, reduce our overhead, reduce our costs? Was this going to happen? And we would open up 6 weeks, hopefully, relatively untouched. And then 6 months, what would that look like? Well, obviously, hopefully, any good planner will plan for worst case scenario. And so that's what we did. Mm-hmm. We said, hey, what would happen if we were closed for 6 months? If we laid off all of our staff, if we, shut up the lights, close the doors, and, just allowed it to move through. And it took 6 months to do so. And we knew that after we were leading into our 25th year anniversary in 2020, which was, kind of ironic at the same time. We had all these plans and ambitions to celebrate. And I think we were doing the opposite. So, we looked at it kind of going, okay, if this is worst case scenario, we're going to be closed for 6 months. We have 220 plus trainers that will find new jobs. We will have, a dissembled community that we pride ourselves on of building high contact and relationships with not only our clients, but the network of our communities in every single one of our geographical locations. And
it took you 25 years to build too.
25 years. And so we looked at it kind of going, we can't afford this. Like, it's actually going to be more work. And so, we evaluated long-term and short-term. So short-term was like, okay, how much work is it going to be to actually, pivot and do something meaningful? And how much work would it be to, rebuild 25 years of history and experience and high quality people and relationships and everything else? So, we decided to pivot. That was our choice. And, that's a whole unique conversation as well. Like, when on Monday morning, when we got into essentially the locker room, and I mean, that's what I call it, really the bunker with our team, we said, hey, what does this look like? And we looked at the 5 P's of marketing. Out of anything, we went back to the basics, and we said, okay, so, I'm not going to go through the 5 P's. Everybody on this call and listening in probably understand what those are, but, basically our product in place were the top 2. And it's like, does our product need to change? Does it need to change? A lot of people, if you look back, what their pivot was, they actually changed their product. In the fitness business, a lot of people just went to streaming classes to serve their community. They devalued their service. They didn't charge anything for it. And they did a one-way, streaming, experience like a Peloton or like, some of these other services. And, that didn't really provide the value that the consumer was used to. And for us, for a lot of our customers and clients have been with us for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And this is a regular routine for them, 2 or 3 days a week. They interact with the trainer. They have a foundational thing. We knew that this disruption was going to disrupt a lot of foundational things in their life. And what I mean by that is where they work, their school, their kids' school, their routines. So if we could be something that stays regular in their life, let alone the fact that we're in the health business, that, at a time that you should be focused on your health would be probably now. Why does our product need to change? The key thing is the place had to change. So how we distribute our product. And so when we looked at that, and the others, the other 3 Ps, I mean, yes, how we position ourselves and the price and, everything about the other 3 Ps were important, but it was actually more the place. How can we keep our product the same and then, deliver it in a different way? And so essentially that Monday, we got to work and we made a massive pivot. And when I say that, to your point, Mike, our industry didn't have Uber Eats, didn't have DoorDash or Skip the Dishes, did not have, services or ability besides essentially email and online accountability.
Right. Like if you're a restaurant and you go and and when COVID happens, there's DoorDash and Skip the Dishes. You can just simply keep your restaurant open. You can serve your customers through takeout and delivery. But the fitness industry, as you're saying, that didn't exist.
Yeah.
So where do you pivot to?
Yeah. So, first, before we jump into that, I mean, I think, for all the leaders that are listening on the call, I think that one of the bigger things that we really leaned into was our value system. We pride ourselves on the values that we've developed over the last 25 years. And in fact, going into 2020, our 25th anniversary, we actually reevaluated our values to really increase the context around them. And in our February 24th, I think it was February 24th, our AGM, we actually unveiled an updated values, which is kind of timely as well. And we leaned into them. We told our management team and executive team, if there's ever a time that we need to lean into these, now's the time. And there were 3 values that really stuck out to me. That, we have 7 values, but the 3 that really stuck out were: we challenge status quo. Say innovate fitness, we challenge status quo. We find a way, no excuse. And we build strong communities. And those 3 values out of the 7 really provided a foundation in the concrete of what was ahead of us. And, and going back to what I had just previously said, we decided to pivot early Monday morning on the 16th. And what that pivot was we were going to distribute our services in the same premium 2-way interactive experience in a virtual setting, from the home of our trainers to the home of the clients. And that might sound easy because it's a little bit more mainstream now. You see trainers using FaceTime. In business meetings, we're using Zoom. But think about deploying 240 trainers to thousands of clients that have regular scheduled meetings, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, as an example, from the confines of the home of the trainers that might have audio tech space design issues to the home of the clients that might have audio tech space design issues or equipment issues. All the way with the organizational infrastructure to, schedule the sessions, take billing, making sure that they're tracked, making sure that trainers are getting paid. Like the functionalities of that did not exist on, FaceTime, Microsoft Teams, Zoom as an example. So what we did is we were lucky enough, and I say lucky, we were actually lucky enough that we were developing our own software in November of 2019. And so when we were developing our own software solution around scheduling, billing, CRM, we had 14 developers full-time. And when March 15th hit, we paused everything they were doing and said, hey, is it possible to deliver and build a video conferencing platform that's designed for virtual training, not for chest up like most video conferencing software, to design our own video conferencing software solution that is built on the backbones of the code that we had already built, which was the scheduling and billing component, and launch this in a meaningful timeframe. And they said, yeah, we can do it in 2 weeks. And so when we realized that, we said, okay, this is what we're doing. And so then it was like,
nothing exists. Like you're talking about doing something that nobody's done, because at the time, I mean, what you had access to in the fitness industry was like Mind Body and Zen Planner. And those were really about pushing out group schedules to people and maybe booking a little appointment, but they had no video collaboration. The billing is not really that great and isn't really what it's designed for. So the software that was available to you basically was worthless to you at this point. Like it's not going to help you in any way. So you're saying to your development team, hey, we're going to go build what nobody else has done before for the fitness industry, and we're going to do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So then what was unique? That's one component. Think about 225 trainers that are aged between 25 and 35, don't know what's going on, don't understand what's happening, have never navigated. Not that none of us have ever navigated this before, or most of us haven't. And realizing that we actually had to like rethink how we actually retrain them, rethink how they actually, what their workday looks like, ensure that they have proper audio and tech equipment. So what we did is, number one, on the Sunday night, when we had that conference call, we told them, you have a job, you're getting paid for the entire week. So we paid all of our employees for that entire first week. And we said, we will get back to you on
You have no revenue coming in.
Zero. We are a personal service, essentially premium personal service that people pay. Essentially, yes, they have prepaid sessions, but a la carte. So if we don't service clients, we don't get paid. And so what we did is we said, hey, you got a job for this next week. We will get back to you on Friday and we'll let you know what the plan is. And so our management team and our head office team and our executive team, we locked ourselves in the room on Monday morning. We got our developers to develop the code and develop the video element of the conference or the video conferencing software for the training industry. And for us, we said, okay, what's the first thing? Well, we have to meet people where they're at, and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we got to take care of our people. So we developed an entire tool immediately that day of advising all of our employees of what they should be taking care of. So how do they contact the banks? How do they defer their mortgages? How do they get, stock up on, food? How do they, and get everything in place? Because if our people aren't equipped to handle it, then we don't have anything anyways. So what we did is we provided them almost a document that was like a manual of going like, hey, we're under a pandemic right now. Here's the manual, follow along. We'll see you on Friday. And so that was one thing we did. Another thing that we did was we realized that we had to, it wasn't just about the technology, it was repositioning everything. So we actually developed for that week, we developed in 5 days, a 35-hour training course to retrain all of our trainers, reassess and evaluate their space, evaluate their audio and their tech, at their homes. And we did that in 1 week. So when we arrived on the Friday, we told them, listen, we're developing our own platform. It's going to be ready in 1 more week. Number one, you can subscribe to 35 hours of training next week. We're paying you to get retrained, and we're going to evaluate your space. You're going to train us. You're going to go through a training program, and we're going to embark on this. We're going to do this, and we're going to lean into our values, and we're going to show up and show the world that we can do this. And out of the 240 trainers, 220 of them or 222 said we're in. And so that next Monday, I think it was the 23rd, we decided that we were going to obviously do this, embark on this. And we hosted that second week, a 35-hour training program where everybody was virtually retrained on how they show up, in the digital world. And we evaluated their spaces at home. We got them equipped with the proper audio and Wi-Fi and video equipment. And we got ready. And we embarked on this together. And by March 30th, which is the Monday, March 30th was the day that we actually delivered our first personal training session on our own proprietary software from the home of the trainer to the home of the client. And we haven't looked back since. And so, you look at that, we accomplished a lot in 2 weeks. You talk about adversity. We have this slogan, challenge, adversity, victory. Challenge, March 15th or March 11th. Adversity, 2 weeks of absolute hell. Then March 30th was one of the, feather in our caps or victories that we had, which was launching our own platform. It wasn't perfect. There was glitches, there was, stumbles. But at the end of the day, when you talk about weeks. I went to the office at 5 a.m. every morning, and I didn't come home until I'd say probably 11. I remember I missed my daughter's birthday on March 20th, and yeah, I remember coming home on the 27th, which was the Friday, and it was the first day I'd got home to see the kids in 2 weeks. And it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I remember telling my wife, going, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Like, I was shaking at the computer. My hand was shaking. My nervous system was shot. And she just looked at me. She goes, you got to go to bed. So the day I came home early to see the kids, I actually ended up going to sleep at 5:30, I think, that night, and woke up at 8 o'clock the next morning, and just tried to, rejuvenate and rest up for what we knew was not the end of the race. So that was kind of that 2 weeks. I mean, all the emotions and everything that went through me was, it was challenging. And our team, actually, I mean, they stepped up to the plate. So
that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's an incredible story. I mean, I think that if somebody had said you had a year to accomplish what you accomplished in the time frame that you had, they said, yeah, I think we could probably pull that off in a year. But to know that you didn't have a year, that you have no revenue coming in. So those 2 weeks is the difference between, getting yourself back up and running. And, you've got 220 trainers to support through this, or more than 220 trainers. You got your management team on top of all of that. To support through all this, and you don't know how long you're going to be operating, I guess, because at that point you didn't know. Well, is it really going to be 6 months? Now 9 months in, we know that we're probably halfway through, possibly, what COVID is. Barring this vaccine that's come out being effective. So it'll be interesting if you're watching this. In a month or two, we might know if that you might know already if that Pfizer vaccine worked, or if the rapid testing worked, or who knows if some treatment came out that worked in the meantime. So you're staring down, and so what's happened since then? So we're mid-November now, or mid to end of November. So I'm curious. So you launch, you get things going. What's been the experience now of building a community? Because you didn't just launch that platform, but at the same time, you built this Beat the Bug fitness community, and you said, come one, come all, join this community. We want to support your wellness through this. And what I loved about it is that it wasn't, you weren't trying to drive revenue through that. You just said, listen, we're going to post things up here that are helpful. We're still trying to figure out how to support our clients, but come here and share your fitness, your wellness plans, share your goals. I know it was super inspiring to me to wake up and look on Facebook and see people posting their workouts. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go do this workout today. And I'm going to post, what I accomplished. And people are high-fiving and commenting. And so you found this way, or you created this way with this Beat the Bug fitness community to keep people together while you were sorting out exactly how you were going to be able to serve your community. So, I'm really curious to know so that you probably had the, aspirationally, what you wanted to have happen, and you were pushing through the adversity to get to the other side. And but what did happen? Like, what actually has occurred as a result of all this? Where are you now today?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a little bit of a long story. I mean, there's been, what it was been 8 months since that, since the end of what I said, March 30th. And a lot have happened. I mean, as you mentioned, we launched that Beat the Bug community Facebook group where we had over 4,000 people sign up in the first 2 weeks. We are a virtual training business, and service offering, which we weren't equipped to actually even sell online, right? So that's another thing. It wasn't even the fact that we couldn't deliver the service. We couldn't actually sell online. We weren't an e-commerce company. We didn't convert online. We converted in person. So, we had to learn that. And our first goal was actually, how do we serve our existing community, which we accomplished with the Beat the Bug community, the Facebook group, as well as obviously the virtual training service that we talked about. And we, early on, we had 40% adoption within the first 2 weeks of the virtual training. And by month 2, we had 70% of our clients online. And so,
wow.
Yeah. So if you think about
significant.
Significant.
Yeah.
I mean, without the brick and mortar, we were servicing 70% of our business in a virtual context, from the home of the trainers to the home of the clients. And, and that's knowing that there's 30% of the clients that were, maybe skeptical, maybe didn't have the proper tech, audio, video, maybe anticipated that it was going to blow through quicker, and so just didn't really adopt, took a break from their fitness, or just got outside. And we respected that, and so when we look at that, we were, it was a massive pivot. It was a race. And then it was a race to ensure that the quality maintained and that we continued to, increase those numbers in terms of adoption. And then what happened was we got notified that we could open up June 1st. Actually, we got notified we could open up after the May long weekend here in Canada, and we said, there's no way, we're not ready. So then it was a race to actually open up. Okay, we had to get the proper PPE, we had to get the new protocols and policies, and everything from employment to safety to health measures to ensuring that we had inspections that were done. So then it was like 2 to 3 weeks of racing to do that, and then we opened up June 1st, and then it was just like the complexity of running a business that both was online and in person now, because some people wanted to come back and other people wanted to stay online. Well, people don't understand the complexity of that. So now we have our trainers that are training 2-3 hours in person, and then all of a sudden they have to service someone at home. Well, it's like, we don't have rooms built out for that. So we had to build out like mini virtual training rooms in the studio so that they can serve people in person and then, and then virtually. And so we had virtual training rooms that people would go in, almost like an office or a treatment room, to go do that. But some of the unique factors that really occurred to us were, number one, by the time June 1st rolled around, we had delivered over 16,000 training sessions on our own software and our own platform.
Wow.
In 2 months.
By June 1st.
By June 1st. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a unique metric. Another unique metric, or just overall what we didn't anticipate, was we actually picked up clients outside of our own clients to adopt the platform and to deliver the service. So, and when I say this, with no digital marketing strategy, no presence in the United States, as an example, we picked up clients everywhere from New York, Boston, Chicago, LA, St. Louis, Colorado, based on word of mouth, or they stumbled on our website, and we were picking up clients globally. And that was really unique and exciting as well. And then the last unique, this is more of a stat, we did a survey as we led into June 1st of reopening. We did a survey with all the people that were our customers and our clients to see how comfortable they felt coming back in. And the most unique stat that we got was 26% of our clients wanted to stay on a hybrid option moving forward, meaning that they felt comfortable coming into the studios 1 or 2 days a week, but they loved the convenience doing it on, at home 1 or 2 days a week. And that told us something, like they were valuing the convenience as much as they were valuing the in-studio experience. So when you look at 15,000 training sessions delivered over 2 months, on a beta platform, on a pivot, number one. Number two, we had picked up clientele, over 200 people across North America with no digital marketing strategy whatsoever, not being an e-commerce company, not converting online, really, a lot of friction in terms of like onboarding. And then the last one, 26% of our clients wanted a hybrid option going forward. It really told us that there was a huge opportunity here, and COVID just accelerated a lot of disruption and innovation in our space. And yes, Peloton existed beforehand, and so did P90X, and so did Insanity, and so did Beachbody, and so did, everything else. But what didn't exist is actually a two-way interactive experience from a virtual training and a personal training experience.
And that's a game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think, so I in COVID, I remember I was doing the group classes. I was doing yoga classes. I was doing group fitness classes. And, I got the opportunity to work with an innovative fitness trainer, which was amazing, one-on-one. And once I did, I started thinking about these group classes. I'm like, I am going to a scheduled group class that really could just be recorded video. Like, I don't need to show up at a scheduled time, because what's the difference? Like, the live classes are not providing me anything better than what I get by just watching a recorded video.
For sure.
And I can do that when it's a convenient time for me, not when it's scheduled. And so that was the piece that so I'm like, well, I'm not getting any interaction with the trainer at all live, because there's, a lot of people in this room. And so, it's not a personalized experience. And when I got the opportunity to work with an innovative fitness trainer online, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, this is scheduled in a time that works for me, because we were able to sort out a schedule, that during the week that worked. And it was a two-way interaction. So I remember getting the email, tell me what stuff you have. And I'm like, well, I managed to find a kettlebell, and I've got a skipping rope, and I've got a yoga mat, and I've got space to be able to work out in, and I've got a laptop with a good camera, and I've got wireless headset so we can do that. That's what I got. That's what I have to work with. And your trainer wrote me back and said, great, perfect. I'll design the workout around the tools that you have, and we'll just work with those. I'm like, perfect. This is awesome. And so I knew now that in COVID, when one of the things I was worried about is, okay, I've got to run my business, but if I've got to stay well and healthy through this, and the ability to have somebody to talk to about where I was at, versus me just trying to find random stuff that I could watch on the internet. It was huge, right? Like, it was the opportunity to have somebody who I knew was going to design a program, who was going to get to know me and get to know what I was capable of. And so that next time they were going to push me a little bit more, or they were going to check in and say, like, how are you feeling today? And I would tell them, and they say, okay, great. Well, this is, then let's get started, and let me think about you. Just let me know how you're doing through this, and we're going to modify and adjust to suit you. So that level of personalization, I couldn't, it just wasn't available. So you kind of invented something that didn't exist. And for me, I didn't even know that was an option until I got a chance to try it. So.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people, this whole digital fitness realm, and now they're terming it connected fitness. We've been connected to fitness digitally for a long time. I mean, look at pre-canned film content such as a VHS or a DVD, or now you have beach bodies such as P90X or Insanity, all the way to now the Pelotons, the Mirrors of the world. And the reality is that all the connected fitness out there, you're connected to it for sure, but it is either pre-canned, pre-filmed content, or if it is live, it's one-to-many. So there's no two-way interaction, there's no personalization, there's no accountability.
There were 15,000 people on the Peloton. When I was on the Peloton the other day, there's 15,000 people there doing the workout. So that is definitely, there's no personalization there. It was one to many, right?
And no one holds Mike accountable. You still have to have the discipline. No one even cares if he shows up, and no one cares if he dogs it the whole time. So that's the unique thing. I mean, at the end of the day, people still, with the connected fitness solutions that are on the market, you still have to have the discipline to do it, to get up and do it and start it, to finish it, and work hard from start to finish. And so there wasn't.
But I had to plan my own program though, right? Like, so when I, for all this connected fitness, I have to, like, I'm responsible for figuring out what my workouts are, for trying to design what a week looks like. Before, I was just used to somebody did that for me.
Yeah.
And so now I'm in this position where I'm like, no, I have to become my own fitness trainer. Basically, I have to think about, is this the right workload to do during this week? Like, if I'm doing the same classes like all the time, then how am I going to get any better? So am I missing something? Like, am I missing a part of my body in the way that I'm working out, that I'm going to end up injuring myself at some point because I'm not putting a focus on my core or whatever it was, right? And so I found that each week I would wake up and I'm like, okay, I designed my fitness program for this week, which is not what I really wanted to be doing at that point, because I had a business in triage and I had clients in triage, and I wanted to focus on that.
Yeah. And so we created something that was, that hadn't been created before. And, I look back and clients like yourself, but, others they won't go back. The convenience of actually welcoming a trainer to your home without actually having to open up the door, and you can get up and you can connect with your trainer, have a two-way interactive experience, something that's personalized, someone that holds you accountable, someone that designs your programming, and then you can go up, and as you cool down, you can drink your own coffee or shower in your own facility, with no travel time to and from the gym, no, delays in terms of cooling down before you get into your suit, before you go to work. The convenience factor, let alone opening up the opportunity for all the people that didn't have access to either high quality trainers, number one, number two, it didn't work for their schedules because of the time from traveling to and from the house to the gym, to cooling down to the gym to work, or whatever that might look like, or didn't have the means to do it because there's a lot of people, such as stay-at-home moms, that they can't leave their babies. So, for us, we tapped into a market that was also, not been able to be served, and connect with people all across the world to provide not only high quality talent, underserved markets, but also we got to provide the option and opportunity to help support people at a time that they need it the most. And so, it's been, that's been eye-opening, and it's, the response has been phenomenal.
And I think, the reason I wanted to have you tell this whole story, I mean, I'm sure people who are listening to this and they're like, this is a lot of detail about, what Curtis and the team went through, is because I think it's important to understand the constraints you were under and the creativity that you put into this pivot. So there wasn't an easy solution, as we referenced in the restaurant industry, where you could move to a DoorDash or a skip the dishes type software that already existed. You had to create your own platform, and as a leadership team, do so in what really seems like an unreasonably short time frame to have to pull this off. And so I'm curious. So I want to talk about what's happened next, and I know I'll foreshadow a little bit, but to say that what turned out to be something to help service an existing client base and to help to protect an existing business and all of the people that work in that business has now become something even bigger. So I want to talk about that in a second. I won't let the cat out of the bag too much. I'll let you tell that story. But what did you learn as a leader through this process? Before we dive into what's coming next, what did you learn about yourself, and what did you learn about your leadership team as a result of the journey so far?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lessons I learned in both a short period of time and what now seems like a long period of time. I think looking back, number one, from a business standpoint, I think one of the biggest lessons, or even just eye openers, was how important it is to have a value system that you can anchor not only how you hire people or who you hire and who you surround yourself with, but just anchors your true meaning of and how you show up in the world. I mean, I think if we didn't have a strong value system, I don't think we could have accomplished what we did. And I think, and what I mean that is that we not only relied on that and sat back and leaned into that, but we also, that value system was part of the reason why we have hired the people that we've hired and surrounded ourselves with to actually accomplish what we did. So at the end of the day, that's number one. Don't underestimate the importance of creating culture in your business, in your organization, and that starts with a strong mission, vision, values, or however you want to term it and frame it, but some sort of value system. I think is super important, because when you need it, you'll never know when you need it, and when you need it the most, you truly do need to lean into it and need it. So that's number one. Number two, I think some people, it's the whole, fight or flight. Some people get hit hard and they get paralyzed. And I think at the end of the day, taking a step back, it's amazing not only what our physical bodies are capable of, but the mental capacity, or the abilities the resiliency that we're actually built with. Our bodies, our minds are actually built stronger than what we believe. And, when you look at all the examples that we see every single day, whether it's, people standing on the podium in the Olympics, or even the Special Olympics, or, and other, victories that we watch after people have gone through massive adversity, don't think that you can't be that person. You might not be on the podium of the Special Olympics or the Olympics, or, you might not, win some award. You might not have, fought the war and came out of it and, got the Purple Heart Award as an example. But, every single challenge that we're faced, know that we're built to be strong enough to probably handle it. And if you fear it, I think you've already, been defeated. I think that at the end of the day, you have to lean into it and have the confidence and surround yourself with the right people to actually, really roll up the sleeves and get the job done. And sometimes we're forced, and sometimes it's by choice. And I look at athletes, it's by choice. They have a passion, a desire to be great, and they try to achieve greatness through resiliency and practice, and you name it. But, we can't predict everything, and this we didn't predict. And I think at the end of the day, just, don't get defeated before you're even at the start line. Try it, do the best you can, surround yourself with the right people. And there's a lot of things that we can accomplish. So I think that was a big lesson. And I'd say, to that point, I mean, everybody has their own story too, right? Like this is my story. It's different than everybody else's story. and the pain and suffering and challenges that people face, we don't know what they're going through. And so, at the end of the day, make sure that you meet people where they're at. You don't make assumptions, and know that, you're not doing it alone either. There's a lot of other people that are suffering just like you. And whether it's a pandemic and you're pivoting your business all the way to, possibly, even mental wellness and overall mental illness, people aren't suffering alone. Like, even though they are suffering alone, they're not alone. And so we have to be aware of that, and we have to bind together and come together as a community. And that might be locally, that might be in your business groups, that might be in your own company, that might be with your family and friends. At the end of the day, find that outlet so that you can accomplish what you want to, what you need to.
And you really, as a team, you've done all of that. You really leaned into that community. And so that community, as you say, it grew now across North America and globally as a result of your goal of actually just trying to support the community that you already had. And so, you start from, okay, our revenue goes to zero. All our facilities are shut down. We have to retrain all of our people to get them ready. At the same time, we're going to build all this software to, in 2 weeks, launch a brand new business with all of our people trained how to operate in this brand new business. We're going to operate that business in support of our existing clients. 70% of them are going to love it and continue to do it. The backside of it, 26% of them are going to say, hey, I kind of, even though I can come into the facility, I want to do this hybrid model. And what's fascinating to me is that was the goal. So we'll do that. That'll pull us through COVID. We'll get out the other side. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you realize that you were going to start a brand new business that you were ready to launch coming out of this time that was going to connect into an audience so much bigger than the audience that you're already serving. So tell me about this business that's occurred as a result of all of this.
Yeah. So what was unique about those stats of 26% people wanting to stay on a hybrid option, 15,000 training sessions delivered on a beta platform, and picking up clients across North America, combine that with the fact that I had two good friends that I've known for the last 7 or 8 years in the US. Their names Darren and Danielle Natoni. They called me at the beginning of, I believe it was, the beginning of June. And they said, we've been watching what you've done, your pivot, your platform, and your resiliency during this time. And we'd love to help you build a virtual training brand. And funny enough, what they didn't realize is that I was about to call them and ask to see if they wanted to join a new business. And so, lo and behold, we believe that we can be the, essentially an iconic brand in the connected fitness space that is focused on the two-way interactive, highly accountable, with high accountability around a service in personal training. And we're launching a brand called Workout, and that was just recently announced. And so, for us, Workout to the world is going to be, essentially think about Uber meets Tinder for the personal training business. You can access essentially the world's best talented trainers in the confines of your own home or anywhere, anytime, wherever you are. And you can stay connected with that talented group of trainers if you're on the road, travel for work, all the way to, in your cottage. And so now the world gets to have access to a global, global talent, and trainers now get to live life on their own terms. They can work whenever, wherever. They actually finally get to work a 9 to 5 if they want to, because they're not restricted by geographical regions. They're not restricted by time zones. I think at the end of the day, we found a solution that, it matches the needs of the consumer to the needs of the trainers. And we've already attracted some phenomenal talent to be on the platform.
What I find fascinating about this model is that, so I live in Vancouver, but maybe the best trainer for me isn't living in Vancouver. And I live in Vancouver most of the time, but I also live in Whistler. And so the best trainer for me might be in Boston or in Los Angeles or in San Diego. And I'm not going to fly down there to do workouts. It doesn't make any sense, right? So now this trainer that I don't normally would not have any access to, who's the trainer that's perfect for me, anywhere, I have access to that person. And then when I'm switching locations, that trainer gets to come with me. So for those people who want it, so is there a website already set up, and can people go and check it out, or is there?
Yes. Yeah, it's workout.com, www.workout with no O, so WRKOUT. So it's dropped the first O, workout.com, where you can sign up. So we have essentially a vetting process. It's an exclusivity launch, meaning you have to sign up to get on the wait list, and we will contact you to set you up with some of our global trainers. And check it out. I mean, we're excited to, launch this to the world. We believe we have skilled, talented trainers that are going to meet the consumer's needs, like you said. So check out workout.com, and we'll soon be launching some other unique features as well.
I'm pumped. I think it's exciting to see, because I remember chatting with you at the beginning of the pandemic and checking in with you to see how you're doing. Well, we were checking in with each other, I guess, see how we were both doing. And to just watch this story, I mean, to watch from the beginning, where you went from there's going to be no revenue, we need to lean into our values, I need to huddle with my team, we need to set impossible deadlines and achieve them, we need to support a community, to that launching to rolling in and having 8 months later that become a global platform for working out in a one-on-one setting, which that doesn't exist today. So it's fascinating, because people have said to me, COVID is so terrible, it's awful. I'm like, actually, you know what? I've watched some people who have decided that COVID is going to make this something possible that wasn't possible before. If not for COVID, there'd be no workout.com.
For sure.
Right. And so I think that's the central message that I wanted to take from our conversation today, and why I wanted to do this podcast with you, is that, you took crazy adversity, where a lot of people have just said, well, that's it, we're done. There's nothing for us to do. We don't know how long this is going to last. We can't have our physical space open. So that's kind of it for us. And others who said, no, I think there's an opportunity here. I just have to figure out what that opportunity is, and then go in a very short time frame. Because if you weren't able to do this in a short time frame, somebody else might have been able to do this 6 months from now. And so you've got that first mover advantage. So I think for anyone who's watching this, you're watching the rest of your industry and wondering what you need to do that's similar to somebody else in your industry. That's probably not the answer. Yeah. And that's what you've done. You said, well, nobody's doing this. I'm going to do what nobody's done in our industry. And I think that's what's key of a pivot, is everybody's in the blue ocean strategy thought process, right? Where it's like, we're all fighting in the red ocean, and the red ocean is bloody, and it's a pricing thing. It gets commoditized very quickly. And your strategy is, well, no, I'm going to go create a blue ocean. Nobody's playing over here. Like, we're not doing what Mir's doing. We're not doing what Peloton's doing. That's one-to-many, that's recorded classes, that's zero personalization. That's expensive equipment that you need to purchase. I mean, a Peloton's like $3,500 or $3,000, right? Mirrors a couple $1,000s to so it's an expensive, before you even pay for the subscriptions. You've got to buy expensive equipment. We'll work with what you have.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure the things that you would need to buy, like a skipping rope and some kettlebells or something, that's inexpensive things that you can to bring to this. So, for those of you who are watching and thinking, well, I just don't see the answer in my industry. What I love about what Curtis and his team have done is that they decided to create their own answer that didn't exist in the industry. So final word. So I'm curious if there's something that you learned about yourself through this process that surprised you. I know we talked about resilience. We talked about being able to push through adversity. We talked about leadership. As you move forward, and as you think about the biggest personal learning that's come through this, and it could be something to do with your family, it could be something to do with yourself as just yourself personally, it could be business related. What's been the biggest thing that you've taken away from COVID so far?
I think, there's some cliches, family first, and it's really allowed me to connect with my family and really value who they are and what I've done. And, I'm a workhorse and probably not pausing to really, appreciate the journey as much as I typically do. So that's been some, really highlights for me over the last 8 months. But one of the unique things that I've learned about myself is how I perform is that I actually thrive on challenges that, are put in front of me. I mean, I've ran across the Sahara Desert. I've done, over 20 marathons. I've done, multi-day stage races. And I sign up for these things because I try to challenge myself to do things that I didn't think possible. And this one I didn't sign up for. I didn't, I didn't ask the world to give me a pandemic for our business. But what I realized is that, if you've watched the documentary with Michael Jordan about Last Dance, he created both a persona, but also created these almost like these challenges. Like he created stories so that he could then compete at a higher level. And I think for myself, I think that's how I get fired up and fueled. Like I think I could, I don't see, no mountain high enough to accomplish and to essentially summit. And so for me, it's like, how can I actually look at every little challenge, look at every, possibility or adversity that I face, and look at it as an opportunity to whether it's pivot or, fight through. I think my DNA wants that. And I just demonstrated that over something I didn't even ask for. And I think, on that note, I want to finish off with this, is that what I've learned from a business perspective is if you're waiting for perfection, it's already too late. Like, don't hesitate to put something out in the world, whether it's starting your own podcast, whether it's, designing a tech play for your business. You won't know what the consumer wants until you actually get it out there. And, anybody in the Valley will tell you that, if it's perfect, it's already behind. And so, understand that as much as you might want the parachute, fully built and try, test, and true before you jump out of the plane, there are times in life where you might have to build the parachute on the way down. And that's just a reality. And, I think that's what I realized is that, we had to jump out of a plane, and we were building that parachute literally on the way to the ground. And, we accomplished something that, many people couldn't. And I think it goes back to, our values, the people we surround ourselves with, and the desire to be great and the desire to find a way. So, I'll end with this. Remove the excuses. There's no excuse, and let's make, let's do what's possible, and whatever that is to you.
I love it. No excuses, I know, is a key part of your values and of your corporate and your company's brand. So Curtis Christopherson, CEO of Innovative Fitness and now workout.com. No O. Yeah. I'll put the links in the show notes here. Thank you for making the time to share your story through all this, because I know now you can tell it in an energetic and buoyant way, but I know that through that it was the adversity was real, the exhaustion was real, the hours that you put in and your team put in to get to this place were real, and I'm grateful that you took the time to share that journey with us. So thank you. I'm Mike Desjardins, and this has been another in a series of conversations with leaders. Have a great day.